In the dense rainforest of Nicaragua, a blood-curdling sound pierces the stillness of the night. And it's not a bird or the wind. It's a howl, deep and guttural, that seems to crawl under your skin. It's said that if you hear it, it's already too late. That sound belongs to El Hombre Mono, the monkey man, a creature of the night with red glowing eyes and a howl that will freeze your soul. Friend, welcome to the Mysteries of Latin America, where I explore the myths, legends, history, and unsolved mysteries happening everywhere from the northern border of Mexico to the southern tip of Argentina and all across the Caribbean islands. My name is Andrew, and I want to help reconnect people to Latin American history, culture, and folklore while introducing it to others who might not know these stories. So everyone knows a little bit more about what makes up our cultural DNA. And speaking of connections to roots, I recently got a wonderful email from one of our subscribers, Eileen Cruz from California, and I want to share it with you all. Hola, Andy. I hope this email finds you well. I just wanted to say what a huge fan I am of the podcast. It has been so wonderful learning new things about our people and having you expound on some things I knew only about in stories told by my mom and family and friends. I think you do a wonderful job representing the vast community in all of its roots. I cannot wait to see what you will continue to do. Eileen also went on to tell me about some of the not-so-folkloric history of Nicaragua, which has been hit hard by war and political unrest, and also by natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanoes erupting, and how some of the indigenous Messiah people would sacrifice people to keep the volcanoes from erupting. Truly captivating stories. But what really got me was when Eileen said this. I was actually on the phone with my mom yesterday. She lives part-time in Nicaragua, where she was born. She was telling me a bit about a man in town que se convierte en mono por la noche. He turns into a monkey at night. That got my gears going. Eileen, thank you for your wonderful message, and thank you also for sharing the podcast with your friends and family. You and your message inspired me to do my own deep dive on the folklore surrounding the Monkey Man. Now, there are many stories about the Monkey Man, and the story seems to vary from location to location. And while it might not be your mom's version of the story of the Monkey Man, I think you'll all find it compelling, and that's the story that I'll tell today. Now, friend, if you'd like to get a hold of me to share a story or thoughts, go ahead and drop a comment down here below, or go ahead and send me an email at andy@andycancun.com. I'll leave a link for that down in the description. Now let's take a trip down to Central America. In 1974, the quiet town of Matagalpa in north-central Nicaragua became gripped by a tale that blurred the line between folklore and reality. It started on a sweltering, humid tropical evening as Don Julián, a seasoned farmer known for his no-nonsense attitude, made his way home from the fields when he encountered a creature many believed to be a myth. Night was coming on hard, and the air was thick with the sounds of insects and the distant cries of the animals of the forest. But then, cutting through that natural symphony, came an eerie, guttural howl. It was a sound he had never heard before, low and menacing, carrying an otherworldly quality that made his stomach churn. Pausing, Don Julián squinted into the shadows. That's when he saw them. Two glowing red eyes staring down at him from the treetops. His heart pounded as he struggled to move. Whatever it was watching him. It wasn't a jaguar, it wasn't an owl. This was something almost supernatural. Before he could react, the creature jumped. It leapt from tree to tree with uncanny ease, following him like a predator stalking its prey. Don Julián quickened his pace, his machete clutched tightly in his hand. Each time he glanced back, the glowing eyes were there, keeping pace with him, unrelenting. The creature let out another howl, this one closer and more guttural, almost mocking. When Don Julián finally stumbled onto his property and into his small wooden home, he slammed the door behind him and barred it with a wooden beam. Outside, the jungle seemed unnaturally quiet until a sudden smash against the roof shattered the silence. pounding sound continued for several minutes before fading into the distance. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Don Julián discovered something that sent chills down his spine. Deep claw marks gouged into the bark of trees around his property. They were too large for a monkey, yet too narrow to belong to a jaguar. And his chickens were untouched, but the marks were a clear message. It was watching him. Word of Don Julián's encounter spread quickly. The people of Matagalpa, a town steeped in stories like El Hombre Mono, were terrified. Stories began to surface of other strange occurrences, livestock vanishing without a trace, strange howls in the night, and glowing eyes spotted deep in the jungle. Elders warned against wandering alone at night, while children were told tales of the monkey man coming to snatch them away if they misbehaved. Don Julián, however, refused to be cowed. "It's no spirit. It's flesh and blood," he insisted. He set traps and sharpened his machete, determined to face the creature if it dared to return. But El Hombre Mono was no ordinary animal. Though his traps were sprung, they always came up empty. Whatever the creature was, it was too intelligent to be caught so easily. Months passed and the sightings of the creature grew less frequent, though the fear never entirely faded. Some believed Don Julián's encounter was a warning from the jungle spirits to respect the land, while others thought he had simply crossed paths with an undiscovered species, a hybrid of man and beast. Don Julián lived out the rest of his days in Matagalpa, although he never ventured into the jungle alone again. Even in his old age, he would sit on his porch, and if you brought him a beer, he would tell the story of the night he was hunted by El Hombre Mono, the monkey man. "It's still out there," he would say, staring into the darkened treetops. "Watching, waiting." In the rural heartlands of Nicaragua, the legend of El Hombre Mono, the monkey man, has been whispered for generations. He is said to be a man by day, but by night, cursed or empowered by dark magic, he transforms into a monstrous human-like monkey. His glowing red eyes are the first sign of his presence, and his eerie howls can be heard echoing through the forest, freezing the blood of anyone unfortunate enough to hear them. Some dismiss it as a myth. Others swear it's real. The folklore says that El Hombre Mono was perhaps a man who delved too deeply into forbidden practices. Some versions of the legend say he was cursed for his evil deeds, while other versions suggest he willingly took on the shape of a monkey to exact revenge on someone who wronged him. Whatever the reason, his transformation leaves him with incredible strength, agility, and a thirst for mischief, or worse. He leaps from rooftop to rooftop, climbs trees with ease, and hunts both animals and humans, leaving behind eerie traces of his terrifying presence. The monkey man targets those who wander alone at night. Villagers have long feared traveling after dark, knowing that this man-beast stalks the shadows, preying on those isolated from the safety of their homes. Many claim to have seen him, his eyes burning bright as he watches from the treetops, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And if you see El Hombre Mono, well, then it might be too late. For the people of Matagalpa, the story of Don Julián and El Hombre Mono became more than a tale of fear. It was a reminder of the mysteries lurking just beyond the safety of the village. To this day, the locals warn against wandering into the jungle alone, day or night. Those glowing red eyes of El Hombre Mono might still be watching. So where does this terrifying tale come from? Nicaragua's folklore, like that of many Latin American countries, is deeply rooted in indigenous beliefs. Groups like the Sawaya, Chorotega, Nicarao, Miskito, and others, who once thrived in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Honduras, believed in deep connections between humans and animals, sometimes even transforming into them. Legends like El Hombre Mono likely stem from these traditions and serve as a moral guide for the community. They warn against isolation, encourage unity, and caution against tampering with dark forces which might cost you your humanity. Friend, that's the story of El Hombre Mono. Whether it's a warning against the dangers of isolation or a deeper moral lesson, this mysterious beast isn't a figment of someone's imagination. It's a symbol of the fears and beliefs that have shaped a culture for generations. Do you believe in the Monkey Man? Have you heard similar legends in your community or from your friends and family? Let us know in the comments wherever you're watching or listening, and check out the vault of over 60 other episodes for more interesting stories about things happening all across this region we call Latin America. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, follow, and share the episode with your friends and family. And Eileen, if you're watching, I want to thank you again for inspiring this week's episode of the Mysteries of Latin America. And until next time, stay curious and maybe stay inside tonight. I'm Andrew Colón. Adios.